right, good morning. Welcome to the Sarah Stevenson Tuesday Morning Forum. I am Gary Young, facilitator, along with other facilitators, Ms. Laura McCletty, Ms. Carlina Ivory Canty, Ms. Jackie Edwards Walton, Ms. Natalie McElrath, our timekeeper, Mr. Winston Robinson, Mr. Steve Johnson still over there, Mr. Shay Abdullah, and Robert Collins. All right, our forum runs from 8:30 to 10. Typically, I think this morning we're going until 10:30. At 9, I would say at 10:15, we will pause for announcements from the audience. And our announcements can also be sent, well, are they still sending them Steve? Still sending them Steve as S. Johnson at Tuesday. All right, now we always begin with a prayer. There's Mr. Pat. There he is. Mr. Gerald Pat, ladies and gentlemen. She's an eagle, but we give him love.
Aggie Pride. Eagle Pride. Good morning and welcome to the Sarah Stevenson Tuesday Morning Forum. I don't know if you guys picked up on what Dr. Moore was playing earlier. Let there be peace on earth, but let that begin with me. I think that's really impactful at this point in time in our community, that we keep that in mind. Last week, I think we saw a symbol of that as 18 men that started a journey in October on a simple walk for peace. And I think that resonates in this community today, particularly as we celebrate Dr. King's birthday on yesterday. So let us go to the throne of prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you once again for this opportunity just to be in your presence. Lord, we thank you for allowing us to come to this tabernacle, Lord, that started out initially as a library to educate the kids in the North Charlotte community and to provide them with a safe space to grow and to learn. But it's so appropriate today, Lord, that it's being utilized once again as a place to grow and to learn, Lord, for folks to come together in community. Lord, we ask that you bless this forum this morning. We ask that you bless the individuals that offer themselves up for service to this community and that they not forget that they're here to be in service to those that stand in need, Lord. Lord, we ask that you continue to bless all the facilitators that give tirelessly of their time each and every week to come to present these important forums to the community. We ask that you just continue to bless them. These and other things we ask in your precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right. This forum does, as Mr. Winston Robinson likes to say, operate on a moment of silence where we like to silence our devices, be it your phone, your watch, things of that nature. All right, are there any first timers in here? Please stand if there are. This is your first time attending the Sarah Stevenson Tuesday Morning Forum. Yeah, go ahead, don't be shy. Yeah, please introduce yourself. So the room may know who you are.
Awesome. Hey everybody, my name is Jason Lovett. I'm originally from Rochester, New York. I've been living actually in Charlotte for the last 5 years, and I currently live in the Noda neighborhood.
Welcome. Come back. I'm starting it. So, good morning to everyone. My name is Kiara Thunderberg. I am a native of Charlotte. Yes. So, I am here to support Michelle, and I am also her communications director, and look forward to the campaign trail that we have ahead of us.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm going to say your name.
Okay, Angela James. I'm a native of Charlotte, North Carolina. Graduated from North Mecklenburg in 1971. I'm here to support Leslie this morning. And I've heard about this forum for as old as I am, and I'm glad to be here.
Come back.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Gia Baker. I am also a Charlotte native here with the campaign manager for Ms. Felicia Tompkins. I'm very happy to be here.
Anyone else?
That was it, Rob? All right, that was it. All right, thank you. All right. Well, today we have some very special guests. Today will be our candidates for County Commissioner at Large. Today is going to be very unique. We have a total of 10 candidates, so we'll do 5 the first half of this forum, and we'll do another 5 the second half of the forum, hence the elongated time today. So without further ado, I will allow the candidates to introduce themselves and tell the story.
And you'll have one minute to introduce yourselves. I'll let you know when you have 30 seconds left.
Please use the microphone. Did everybody heard what she said? You speak so low now.
Thank you.
Do I need to turn this on?
Yes. This one?
The green light.
Good morning. Good morning, Tuesday Morning Forum.
It's on. It's on.
Sarah Stevenson Forum. It is so lovely to be with you today, especially after the beautiful weekend and holiday we all celebrated. My heart is full, and it's particularly special to have our forum this morning and talk about community and justice and what we're going to do to move forward together. My name is Lee Altman. I'm an at-large commissioner. I spent a 17-year career as a public interest lawyer in the space of fair housing and consumer protection. Later, I advocated on behalf of seniors and adults with disabilities, and then for at-risk children as a staff attorney at the Council for Children's Rights. In my 3rd term as a county commissioner, I have worked very hard to move the needle for families, particularly around workforce development, upward economic mobility, and I am so excited to talk about the issues. I'm a mom of 3 and look forward to getting into some more detail.
First, giving honor to God, who is the head of my life. I am Michelle Dunlap Thompson, and I am running for County Commissioner at Large. It is an honor to be amongst you all during this amazing time. We know that we are on the brink of a global crisis, a national crisis, a state crisis, and a county crisis. And what that crisis is that for whatever reason, policy does not represent the needs of the people, and the purposes are not lining up with the desires and what the communities are in dire need of, as far as just being able to provide for themselves, their families, not worrying about whether their job is secure. We know that there have been over 300,000 African American women that have been displaced. And so I'm here just to try to create some type of equilibrium here in this county. Born and raised in Charlotte, North Carolina, graduate of Myers Park High School. I've been out advocating for safety out in the public on behalf of the commuters, on behalf of the operators when Ethan Rivera was shot and killed. My life is a life of advocacy, and I would be honored if you all would allow me to advocate on your behalf. I yield.
Good morning. My name is Toni Emmahelm. I'm the author of this book, Wilderness Women. I wrote this book in 2009, interviewed hundreds of women to reduce it down to 9. Listening to the daughters, the mothers, the nieces, the aunties of our community, and the unique issues that they face. I then came back and I wrote this book. It's a children's book where I interviewed children all over Mecklenburg County through the school system and understanding the unique needs of a child. Came back a few years ago, I authored this book. You all might notice her, Commissioner Vilma Lee. I've been working with her for years to learn about how to advocate for the needs of people in Mecklenburg County. I recently authored this book. This book deals with homeowners who live in homeowner associations and the unique needs that they have. I'm Toni Emmahelm.
My name is Leslie Allen, and I'm running because county decisions aren't abstract. They show up whether people are housed, whether they get care, whether they recover when things go wrong. I have spent the most of my life in service work, in trade, and often more than one job at a time. while going to school, while raising 6 children. I am no stranger to hard work. You learn that every dollar has a purpose and every decision has a consequence. What I bring to this role is a habit of asking questions clearly and early. Whether it's what is the problem, who benefits, and what is the long-term cost. I believe the board runs best when it includes people grounded in reality, and that's why I'm here.
Good morning, Tuesday morning breakfast. I'm going to use my introduction minute by just saying, when I ran for office, I made some promises. Let me tell you what I was able to do. Affordable housing. During my first term, we put more than 750 units of affordable housing on the ground. Workforce development and upward mobility was one of the issues I campaigned on. We've quite focused on that by creating and hiring a workforce development and upward mobility assistant county manager whose sole job is focused on coordinating countywide activities and getting people jobs. All these jobs coming in Mecklenburg County, we can't get them. That's a focus. The other is access to quality health care. For the first time ever in my 3 years, on March 2026, the Mecklenburg County Health Department will publish an impact healthcare scorecard so residents can clearly and transparently see how well our health investments are improving our outcomes. Accountability and performance, this is the biggie. We now have a new county manager that embraces the balanced scorecard and SMART goals, so departments are accountable for targeted results and not activity and outputs. Education, we're not yet there. I'm not on the school board, but I use my pulpit to push that notion. None of the things that I just talked about that were achieved was by me alone. I had to have the support of my colleagues, so I thank them for that support for achieving the dream. Thank you.
All right. So we will begin with questions. I think the first question we have in the house today is Ms. April Benson.
My question, good morning, thank you for being here this morning.
Hold on, April. He's coming with the microphone.
Slowing around, you know how rolling in here.
Girl, good morning again. My question is, not for you, because you've been around, the new people, and not you. You ladies that are first-time runners. What is it different to want to be county commissioner at large and run your seat? It has been said that they do want a new platform. So what are you going to bring different than those that has already been served?
She said that was for everyone except Dr. Griffin.
Yeah, Dr. Griffin.
Go take that, please. Yeah, you guys will have this one, those are for you, that one's for you.
So my approach is to ask whether investments lower housing costs, create local jobs, and reduce long-term public churn.
Into the mic, people at home can't hear you.
My bad. Can you hear me now? Okay, there we go. So I'm running to change how we decide what's worth funding. My approach asks whether investments lower housing costs, create local jobs, and reduce long-term public burden before they're approved. I'm not running to add programs for the sake of adding.
Nichelle Dunlap Thompson. What I bring to this space is a passion for the people. We are leading a people first campaign. Anybody that is in finances knows that your budget, that is a moral document. And if our budget does not represent the needs of this community, if we are not able to use that as a moral compass to ensure that the community is not impacted by what we know is going on from the state level that trickles down to the county level and to the local level. If we can look at these numbers and not just as statistics, as scenarios and situations, I think that's the first step to ensuring that the programs that we have in place protect our most vulnerable communities. I think that's the first step when we're taking a look at what are we going to do to make up for the losses that we know are already here and that are still forthcoming. By me being a people-led organizer, I am interested only in how the people of this county are protected.
Good morning again. And the one thing that I bring is a different perspective, a bold approach to not only looking at what the policies are, but what the practices are, and making sure that there is a listening ear that echoes the needs of the people. Because I believe that there is really a focus now and a lean across the nation to be more party-driven and focusing on party-initiated actions as opposed to listening to the true needs of the people. The county of Mecklenburg is groaning right now, and I've heard those groans. They come from growth with a lack of infrastructure, and a lot of our residents feel that changes are being made across the county without due consideration to those who live here, play here, work here, recreate here, learn here, and commute here, day in and day out. So what I bring is a different perspective that includes active listening, looking at the policies, measuring the practices, and then committing to action.
Okay. All right, thank you. I wasn't sure if you had intended to include me in the answer, but I would love to just share what my colleagues and I have been up to, because I am really proud of it. Under the leadership of Chairman Mark Jarrell, in whose district we sit here in District 4, we've been doing some really fantastic work along with my colleague, Commissioner YTI, raise your hand, who you'll get to meet in the next hour. Economic development, bringing great job opportunities to this community is critical. We brought 4,100 jobs since November 2024 to this county, the average salary of which is $111,000. That's real opportunity. That's real upward economic mobility. We have fully funded CMS 3 years running. I'm incredibly proud of that. Environmental stewardship, health equity, a focus on seniors, workforce development, and all of these priorities within the context of reducing racial disparities. We also have a singular focus on affordable housing. Thank you.
Senator Waddell.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thanks to all of you who stepped out to run. This is a yes, no question. And here it is. It's 10 of you that are running for 3 positions. So it's expected that there will be a runoff election. In the event that it is, will you consider dropping out? And which of your colleagues would you support? Yes, no, and which one?
My answer is no.
If I had to support one of my colleagues, it would be Leon.
I adore the public servants with whom I serve. Arthur Griffin, as you know, was chair of the school board and is the moral compass for our board. And Commissioner YTI is absolutely working her heart out for this community, and I have just absolutely loved collaborating with her and her vision and her world view and the heart that she brings to the job. I'll also say it's the top 3 vote getters, so I don't think there will ever be a runoff. It's just the top 3 vote getters. I don't think with the at-large race that's how it's resolved. But you do ask a good question, and so I do want to shout out my colleagues with whom I'm serving and doing a superlative job.
The answer to that question for me would be no. As far as who I would support, I look forward to learning more about each one of them to give you a more informed answer to that question.
My answer as well is no. And the person that I support who's not running for an at-large position is Commissioner Vilma Leak in District 2. So that's a hard no on the would I drop out. And the colleague that I would support in this commissioner race is Commissioner Vilma Leak.
And I guess I wanted to just add one more thing. And Senator Waddell, it's so good to see you. We were in Raleigh with the North Carolina Budget Tax Center last year. But to add to what I said when I said no, and the reason that is because we all bring a certain level of passion and commitment that we're offering up to this community. I am not saying that I am a better candidate than anybody else up here. There is a vast array of experience, and I support them all. But at the end of the day, what I know that God has called me to do, no one else can execute but me. And so that is the reason why my answer is no. Michelle Dunlap, County Commissioner at Large.
Good morning. As the city of Charlotte cohort and speaking with firefighters and police officers, teachers, people who risk their life to serve the community, how do you determine what's affordable housing? Because these people can't even afford to live in the county that they serve. So how do you determine what's affordable? And is affordable housing all subjected to, I guess, maybe just one type of dwelling? Is it like, is an opportunity to expand outside of, I guess, like kind of like a new project?
Time.
Okay.
Real quickly, years ago when I chaired the Board of Education, we purchased extra land around most of the schools that we were building. And the purpose for that was to try to provide low-cost housing or affordable housing for teachers and others to live somewhere other than on one side of town. Many years ago, the city of Charlotte also created a program, a home ownership program, across the street from Bruns Elementary School, where police officers could move into neighborhoods that had high crime so that they could work twofold. One, to provide an affordable place for local public safety officers, but also provide a good in terms of providing safety for the neighborhood. There are various ways of private-public partnerships that we can lower the cost of housing for a wide variety of people, from 30% AMI all the way up to 80% AMI. That capacity is within us. We ought to be able to use our creative juices and the resources here in Mecklenburg County to improve the opportunity for more affordable housing in Mecklenburg County. Thank you.
I believe that the housing affordability issue has more to do with the living wage in our community, and that is a state issue. Raising the minimum wage beyond what it is now, but also the employers and these organizations that we're bringing into our community, they need to come in with high-level wages so that our residents can afford to live. They can afford to buy groceries. They can afford to have a flat tire and not go bankrupt trying to get it fixed. So it has to deal more with being able to bring our county up to a living wage, and that these employers are truly compensating our residents better and more effectively.
Thank you for your question. I was looking at a few numbers, and of course, these are not as current. I believe this was a 2023 census, but we have over 700,000 employed workers here in Mecklenburg County. And there are 2,704 that are experiencing homelessness. So to Sister Tony's point, we do have an affordable housing situation, but again, there's also a wage situation. There's also a employment situation. whether these jobs are accommodating the needs of the worker. I think that we have to take a look at these corporations that are coming in. I know that there is talks that Charlotte here will be around 2030 looking to offer one of the biggest tax incentives to corporations. There needs to be some contingencies implemented in these tax credits that are given out. These corporations need to agree to offer an affordable housing, affordable units, or what have you for their employees, as well as for those that are in that immediate community. There is a way for us to hold these corporations accountable.
Amazing question. So there's county services and city services. And prior to 2018, Mecklenburg County did not fund affordable housing. It was a city function. City has, I believe, currently a $100 million housing bond. And under the leadership of Chairman Mark Jarrell and the rest of the board in 2018, for the first time ever, Mecklenburg County started putting dollars, precious dollars towards affordable housing. And along with my amazing colleagues, I'm so proud that last year we allocated $41 million to affordable housing, and next year we have committed $45 million to affordable housing. But it isn't enough because we're 40,000 units short. And so what we need to do is to continue to elect people to the General Assembly who will change the laws around inclusionary zoning so that the market will produce the level of affordable housing that we need, which is tens of thousands of units. Thank you.
That's an important question. A number. Between 2024 and 25, eviction filings increased by about 37%. That's no good. We should be focusing on preserving existing affordable housing, reducing evictions. Housing policies work when it keeps people housed, not just by building more stuff.
All right, Michelle, you go ahead with your question.
Hey, good morning. What's something in Mecklenburg County that you think is extremely underfunded and that people should know more about?
I mean, there are several things that I believe, but I will say the state of North Carolina is absolutely underfunding public school systems in North Carolina. But to give you another perspective about the lack of funding out of the state, right now we spend about $500 million out of local tax money to pay for things that the state ought to be paying for.
Was that billion or million? Was that billion or million?
I said $500 million, but it's almost $500 million that we pay locally for things that the state of North Carolina is paying for, not paying for.
The one thing that I would say, if I had to identify one thing that's underfunded, are resources and services for our senior citizens who are aging in place. There are transportation needs that they have. There are critical home repair needs that they have. Now, I understand that there are programs out there. There are also adult health and daycare centers that caregivers have to depend upon in order to have daily care while they go out and continue to earn a living to take care of their senior or aging parents. So if there was one area in particular that I would say needs more funding, we need to look at what funding we're doing for our aging population. And we also need to look at what we're doing with their taxes, because they're on fixed incomes, and yet our cost of living and taxes continue to increase. So that is a tremendous area of opportunity for additional funding.
And I would say this mental health crisis that we are undergoing countywide, it is impacting every other avenue of our communities. It's about 20.1% of adults that have reported mental health challenges. 25% of those have been diagnosed with depression. We know that there are changes coming down from the federal level, from the state level. They're already here. This is causing a disturbance internally. And so we have to take a look at what people are struggling with, not just here on the county, but how they're being impacted from the state level as well, because it is a plethora of impact. And we have to ensure that our communities are going to be safe while they're trying to navigate through these challenges. We have to ensure that we have enough resources available. And we also have to ensure that we start looking at redefining what public safety really means.
Great question. I can tell you there's not a single thing that we fund that I am satisfied with the amount of support it gets, just because the need is so great. But we also have that real tension of wanting to keep our tax rate as reasonable as possible, which is why we have programs like the Homes Program, which is a pot of money for low-income households to have their tax bill reduced, because we're very sensitive to the burden that it does cause on fixed incomes. And I want to encourage all of you to just Google Meck County Senior Services, and you'll see a long list of truly outstanding programs we have to support our seniors. But like Commissioner Griffin said, we redirect almost $500 million a year out of our budget to fund things that the state is supposed to be funding. Amen. Out of our $2.5 billion budget. Can you imagine the good we could do if the state was carrying its weight, for example, education? So yes, I want teachers to make a living wage. They don't yet, and that's a scandal. Oh, I'm out of town. Okay, sorry.
Good morning, good evening, good night. Dr. Penn here. It's very interesting, y'all talk so wonderful about what seniors' needs are, and the rent is high. We're out taxes, you gotta qualify for that. And so our needs are out there, and when I go into these homes and talking to people, our needs are still not being met, and we're still crying out. And that's why we continue to talk about it. But I want to ask about the SMART goals. So, and I want to make sure that it's going to benefit all the community. So if we're talking about these SMART goals, and we want to definitely hold you accountable for them. So how can you report back to us that this is really happening? Because we don't want another, I did this and I did that and nothing happens. Thank you.
I'll take that one. During my 60-second introduction, I said that the Mecklenburg County Department of Health will introduce an impact healthcare scorecard that will be digital, it'll be online, and you can see how well our health investments are improving the outcomes for individual populations. I'll give you an example. In Mecklenburg County, we have a focus on Black infant mortality. When you look at the data, Hispanic women that don't speak the language, that don't have as much OBGYN treatments, have better birth outcomes than Black women. So we want to start putting stuff on the website so that you can see those programs that we invest in if they're having any positive impact. So you won't have to listen to Arthur Griffin. You go online in March of 2026. That's one example. But SMART goals, when you talk about access to primary health care, is that a verb or is that a noun? Does that mean you have a Medicaid card? Or does that mean can you get to the doctor because transportation doesn't take 2 hours? Or that because you work part-time, it doesn't stay open late enough for you to be able to get there? So we're going to try to create SMART goals so you can actually see without people telling you if there's positive or negative impact on some of the services that we offer. That's my understanding of what the balanced scorecard and SMART goals will provide.
Dr. Penn, thank you so much for that question. Just to give a little bit of background, I was raised by my grandmother. She was a nurse at Good Samaritan Hospital. The dove that you saw is in honor of my grandmother, Estelle Dove. My seasoned community, not seniors, have one of the most sacred places in my heart. So that means for me, being in community with you on a consistent basis. I have been known to throw several town halls over the city in the past years. I enjoy learning from my community on how I can better serve you. So that means ensuring that we have an open line of communication. That ensures that we have visibility in the community. That also means that there's going to be safe spaces created for you all to be expressive about what it is that you may be in need of. A lot of the times people may not tell you what they need because there's a level of shame that's associated with it. I want to make sure that my seasoned community has access to all of those things to be able to help me to be able to serve you in a better way.
I hope I'm answering the question right, but I believe that accountability for the promises is felt. It's felt, which means that your needs are felt needs. That's why we cry out. That's why we talk about those things that we are experiencing, because we feel that deficit. So when we're talking about these SMART goals, the way the community knows where we are in that, it can be felt. It can be seen. We don't have to go to a website to dig down and drill down to try and find the results. We can see it in the community and we can feel it in the community. And when we have leaders that lead with that at the forefront, then we're making progress. Progress is felt. It's not posted on a website. You don't have to search and drill down to it. And our aging population, some of our aging population are not computer savvy, so they can't do the drop downs. But accountability is a feeling. It's something that you experience.
Thank you. You know, the county, the city, and the school board are all manager-led forms of government. So you hire the people, hire the elected officials, and then, for example, on the Board of County Commissioners, the 9 of us hire and fire our county manager or the city manager or the superintendent, as the case may be. And for many years, Dina Diorio was our manager, and she was a very serious person, and she did a great job in the community. But we have a new county manager, and his name is Michael Bryant, and hopefully many of you know him because he came to Tuesday Morning Forum, did an incredible job. And I'm not gonna try to retell his lived experience, but I can tell you that Michael Bryant, as serious as there ever was a person, committed to change that was not just seen on a page 3 of a website, but felt. And he will execute on the vision and values of the Board of County Commissioners, which is reducing racial disparities and addressing the historic gaps that have plagued this community. That is our job. That is my commitment to you, and that is the pledge of my full board, and importantly, our manager who runs the day-to-day operations of a 6,000 person workforce.
So I speak from someone who has worked as a CNA for years, and I've been in the homes of the seasoned. I like that word. And appreciate that. And I see how people live when they get older. And in a lot of cases, it's heartbreaking. And they need as much help as they can possibly get. I believe that trust grows when people see their concerns reflected in final decisions. That is what accountability looks like.
Hannah?
Hi, good morning. I also have a yes or no question. So my favorite ways to ask a question in forums like these. Some would say this isn't really relevant to local seats, but it actually is because it directly reflects our reverence for human rights and dignity, especially as we're seeing ICE terrorize our communities. So it's a yes or no. Raise your hand for yes, leave it down for no. And if you raise your hand, I want to hear what you would do in Mecklenburg County to protect and uphold human rights in our communities. So yes or no, is Israel committing genocide?
I didn't hear the question.
Is Israel committing genocide? Raise your hand for yes, down for no. Okay, so what was it, just Leslie? Okay, I would love to hear from you what you would do to uphold human rights in Charlotte, in Mecklenburg County.
What is happening around the world and what's happened to our community, what's currently happening in Minnesota, are uncalculable as far as the harm that it's going to cause us as a country. And I'm committed to making certain that people have people to go to. Making certain that police are policing, but they're also part of our community and they are representing every person that lives in this community. I'm committed to keeping those dialogues going.
I always get in trouble about opening my mouth. In Mecklenburg County, almost 75% of the people in Sheriff McFadden's hotel are African American. African Americans die in Mecklenburg County prematurely more often than any other race or ethnicity. Most of the people on public service in Mecklenburg County are African American. About 50%, a little bit more, can't afford market rate rent or buy a medium priced home. For me, I certainly believe in human rights. I believe in rights of all individuals. But we have issues right here in Mecklenburg County that I'm trying to focus on, that I want to try to improve the quality of life so that we're not just surviving in Mecklenburg County, but we are thriving in Mecklenburg County. We have a whole lot of work to do here, and I'm going to stay focused on what we can do to improve the quality of life for our residents here in Mecklenburg County.
Thank you for your question. I echo the amazing example of Commissioner Griffin. We all know that there are so many things that are going on abroad that goes against humanity. And so I name that here in this place. But I also know that what is out of my reach is out of my reach. But Mecklenburg County is in my reach. I know that what occurred here when ICE came to this community is a direct threat to our safety. I am committed. All you have to do is Google my name to see my commitment. This community, the safety of this community, the well-being of this community is what I live and I breathe. And I am sitting before you right now, assuring you that I will do whatever is in my power to do to make sure that this community is safe.
And what I would share on that topic has more to deal with mental health stress. And not only is our community groaning right now, but I believe our law enforcement officers are groaning. Their lives are in danger every time they get on the streets. To serve an eviction could be a possible death for a law enforcement officer. To intervene in a domestic violence occasion or occurrence could mean death for our officers. So we have to be sure that we're looking at all of these issues that we face worldwide from a perspective of what is the mental psyche telling that person at that time. And that's why mental health resources, and not talking about mental illness, but we're talking about being healthy mentally in the way we think, in the way we operate. So thank you for your question. And we are concerned about having a safer Mecklenburg countywide and a safer country worldwide?
I had the pleasure, as some of you may have, to have met our new CMPD chief, and she is incredibly impressive. And I was recently at an event talking to our local law enforcement folks who were saying that they're starting to feel the love of the community again, which is really important because we need those positions to be filled. We want good law enforcement. We don't want no law enforcement. We want trauma-informed law enforcement, not no law enforcement. And so, for us to come together and support our local public servants who put their lives on the line is so important. And, our first duty to this community is public safety. And so it is about law enforcement, but it's also about mental health. And we have to come together as a county and a city to provide those wraparound services so that we can meet the holistic needs of the people out there who need our support. Thank you.
All right, is that everyone? Before we get to this next question, just wanted to make a quick announcement. We are down to the 10-minute warning with this group before we move on to the second group of commissioners at large. So 10 minutes left for this.
No, 5 minutes.
5. We're gonna cut them off 5 minutes early to make that 5-minute transition.
we got to switch around.
There's no threat.
I think we saw him at 9:30.
Okay, cool. Quickly. I'm fortunate to come to Tuesday Morning Forum and be a part of this group, so I know about county programmatic offerings. And I wanted to know, if elected or re-elected, what would you do to intentionally connect those beautiful county programmatic offerings to the demographic it is supposed to reach? Partnerships, community collaborations.
So here's what I'm really focused on. We're going to have $24 billion worth of economic opportunity coming to this community because of the transit plan. I want those jobs with an equity lens to benefit our kids locally. So these projects are all going to roll out at different schedules. Maybe the O line to the north rolls out in 8 years. Maybe the Silver line rolls out in 9 years. Whatever it is, we need to create a time frame and say, how many jobs are we going to need? How many skilled tradespeople for this, that, and the other? And then go to CMS and say, can we meet with all the 9th graders and their parents? Can we meet with all the 7th graders and their parents? So that there is clarity and alignment. People don't have to go figure it out. We hand it to them on a platter to say, these jobs are going to be available and continue with CMS. But meanwhile, we're going to have this parallel opportunity 2 Saturdays a month over the next 5 years to get you fully prepared and aligned to benefit from these jobs the moment you graduate. That's what I'm looking to do.
Thank you for your question. So I am a multi-state organizer. I have a background in coalition building. My answer to that as far as intentionally connecting, which means we have to have all levels of the community at these tables. We have this transit tax, the sales tax. We need to make sure that those persons that can receive benefits from these dollars are in the rooms to say what is beneficial for them. We cannot allow for the corporations, leadership, to make decisions without voices in the room that these decisions impact. So my effort would be creating a coalition of corporations, business owners, community leaders, as well as just common county residents. And this is a conversation that needs to take place not just once a year. This is a conversation that needs to take place quarterly. Things are changing. Issues are changing. Money is diminishing. Funds are being rolled back and taken away. What I had an issue with 6 months ago may not be my same issue 6 months later. We have to ensure that the value of the community is represented even when their voices may not be.
And I am a mother of 3 daughters. I have 3 grandchildren, and it scares me that anybody would be talking to my teenagers about graduating high school and getting a job, because what that means is they're going to be in my house for a longer period of time than I want them to be there. I want them with school to be focused on their proficient learning so that they're proficient to be able to compete in a world outside of making hourly pay jobs. I believe that the best thing that any governmental agency can do is make sure that we, number one, educate the community on the resources that are available. And that education sometimes comes from being in the community, being visible, being accessible, being touchable, and letting people know what those resources are. And then number two, going the next step to connect them with the resources. So I believe that that is the best way.
So when I think about the community and the outreach, one of the things that may sound strange, but it comes to mind, is a project that was originally intended for ongoing training so that our children can not just go from high school to a job, but actually get training for other jobs, to be, a cook, to do various number of things. But a program was put into place, I think it was called the Public Training Facility, Community Lifeline, otherwise known as COP City. And it was a clear example where that didn't happen. $118 million went into a project where residents weren't really informed. And one of the things that I think is paramount to being able to serve the community is bringing the community into these conversations. They're too important. When you've got a project that is attached to CPCC, my daughter attends CPCC.
Hi.
Yes, ma'am. And I don't want bullets flying anywhere near her head.
There's so much I could say. I'll just narrow it down to education and workforce development. Clearly, if we're looking at the future, we have to prepare our youngsters for the future. And I didn't get to say this at the beginning because I talked about some of the things that we accomplished. But let me just tell you who I am. I'm a native Charlottean. Grew up over here on 6th Street, born in Good Samaritan Hospital. Y'all see me now because I'm a retired senior vice president at McGraw-Hill Education. But what you don't know about me is that my mom died homeless over here on 5th Street. They didn't even know what name to put on their death certificate. So I didn't come up with silver spoons. I came up through the University of Hard Knocks each and every day. That's who I am as an individual. So I will take those learnings and I will convert those learnings into actions based on who I am and my lived experience. I've been eviction notices. You can go look at the court records. Charlotte's my home, so I didn't move here and become somebody. Who I am is out there for all to see. So I say to you, we have to prepare our youngsters for tomorrow in one way is through education and workforce development. Thank you.
All right. So as not to be stereotyped, we're going to try to stay on time and on point. We're going to allow the candidates to have a 30-second wrap up for each one. Starting with you. Since you went on that great speech, Dr. Griffin, go ahead and start the 30-second wrap up.
I absolutely appreciate and cherish the support that this organization and you folks have given me in the past. I want to continue to earn your support, and I'm going to do what I hear from all of you each and every day as I walk and live in this town called Charlotte, North Carolina, to not just move towards folks surviving. We absolutely need to change our language to our children, our families, and our communities to thriving. So I appreciate your support and appreciate what you've done for me in all the years past. And thank you very much for your questions and attention this morning.
So I'm honest about what county government can and cannot do. My character is grounded in doing the work, fighting for what I believe in, and not overpromising. I appreciate you all taking the time to listen to anything I have to say, and I look forward to doing more.
I too want to thank you all for the opportunity to present to you today. Each one of us who are in Mecklenburg County and registered to vote will have an opportunity to vote for someone in your district, and you'll have an opportunity to vote for 3 commissioners at large. I just want one of those votes for a commissioner at large, okay? So vote Tony Emahel for a commissioner at large, and if you're in District 2, vote Vilma Leak. Re-elect Vilma Leak. Let's secure her seat for County Commission District 2 next week.
So the Cherry Community Connection Cookout was a vision of the Lord and I. When Ethan Rivera was shot and killed and there came a need for someone to raise the conversation of safety on behalf of operators and commuters, it was the Lord and I have always represented this community in the best manner that I have been directed to do so, which means ensuring that those who seem to be mute in the missions, that they have visibility and their voices are amplified. I'm not asking. What I am looking for is for you all to empower me to continue to advocate on a greater scale, as I always have. We know that the systems have failed us, but when all else fails, I ask you to vote Michelle for County Commissioner at Large.
Y'all, between the county, city, and the school board, there's $7 billion of local taxpayer funds being spent. So I want to thank you for taking your time to come out this morning because, yes, I'm obsessed with the national and state news. I know you probably are too, but there is so much work and resources at issue here locally. So thank you for investing by being here today. Thank you for your support over the years. It is the highest honor of my life to serve you. I love serving you. My direct email is lee.altman@mecknc.gov. Nothing makes me happier than getting to make systems work for you. I passed out my card. If you didn't get it, please allow me to give you my direct cell phone on the way out. Thank you for the honor to serve you, and I hope very much to be one of your top 3 votes in March.
All right, give these candidates another round of applause. And that was a great segue, Commissioner Altman. If you had a question and you weren't able to get it answered or out, please connect with the candidates on their way out so that you can connect with them directly. Again, thank you. We're going to take a 2-minute break to transition to the next group of candidates. So the clock starts now. Thank you once again, candidates, this morning for your time. For our second group of candidates, we have Mr. Sharif Hanan. Hanan. We have Heather Morrow, Olivia Scott, who I do not see present. We have Ms. Felicia Tompkins, and we have Commissioner Yvette Townsend Ingram. All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Again, let's get started with this next group of candidates. Again, the way this forum shall work, if you just walked in, we will ask the candidates questions. We will ask 30-second questions and allow them a minute each to answer. Yeah, with the 3 candidates, we'll give you guys a minute and a half to answer each question. I think that's so without further ado, we will allow the 3 at the table to go ahead and introduce themselves. Mr. Sharif, if you don't mind, you can start.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. I'm Sharif Hanan. I'm a white-collar investigations attorney, and I'm running for at-large. We're having a tough time as a society right now, even agreeing to disagree. So I want to take this opportunity to thank all the dedicated volunteers here at the Tuesday Morning Forum. This is an institution, so if you've never been here, please come here more. Everyone running is going to try to sell you something. I'm going to tell you one thing that I'm not going to sell you. Which is hopium. We are dividing and conquering ourselves at every level. Our county commission gave away $120 million in the name of education for a militarized police training center on our community college campus. We were sold a sales tax increase for bus improvements, only to have the transit board be packed with folks that are focused on development and banking. We're now being told that we need a $3.2 billion I-77 toll extension, but what they didn't tell you was the first time around was a $6 billion giveaway to private equity for $250 million up front. So what am I selling? I'm selling realistic optimism. There is no substitute for building coalitions, prioritizing with human dignity, and doing the hard work together. So our leaders need to understand nuance, we need to understand context. And I just ask, for this, I ask everyone to use this opportunity to see what our values are, to see what we would do behind closed doors, or when we're not in this forum as we are today. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Felicia Tompkins, a committed public servant. I'm focused on delivering results, especially for the residents, for our seniors, and for our youth. There is a need for seniors to be aware of the programs that we have in Mecklenburg County, especially the homes program. I did a survey and I was surprised. Only 3 individuals knew what the home program impacted. So I would like to be a strong advocate for our youth to ensure that we have targeted investment here in Charlotte. They need opportunities and they need the tools to be successful. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for having me. I love Tuesday Forum. I couldn't cut my teeth on that in the community. My name is Yvette Townsend Ingram, Commissioner Yvette Townsend Ingram. I currently serve you at large on the Board of County Commission. I like to go by YTI, Commissioner YTI, so if you call me that, that's fine. I was sworn in as Board of County Commissioner in December of 2024. Then I filed again in December 2025 because that is the turnaround time. Within that year, I've learned a lot of things. I've learned a lot about governing, the ideological ideas that I have and that I share with a lot of the candidates that are running, I still share. But one thing that I have definitely come to understand, you can come and say a lot of things of what you intend to do, but it takes an entire group. And when I say group, I mean every level of county government, and particularly I could not do anything of what I have done without my colleagues on the Board of County Commission. It takes 5 people to get anything accomplished. So that means you need to know how to understanding policy and then knowing how to work with people. The 2 colleagues that I have on County Commission at large, Lee Altman, and Lord knows I don't know what we're going to do without Arthur Griffin with his years of wisdom. I so appreciate them. And so I ask for your support to return to the County Commission so that we can continue bringing the programs. I wanted to answer a lot of the questions that were asked of the first group. I welcome your questions. I'm open, honest, and I am usually the County Commissioner with empathy being my superpower. Ask me anything you want to ask. Thank you.
All right, so we're going to pick up with questions from the last session, since everyone didn't get them answered. And the first question will come from the online. Oh, he's outside. All right, we'll go with the online question first.
All right, we have an online question from Robert Dawkins. Do you think the county commissioners leaving the transit vote up to the public without giving them guidance is real leadership?
Well, since I'm the only one here that is currently on the county commission, I will say that a lot of the questions we have are relative. Just because you don't agree with the guidance that was given doesn't mean that we did not give guidance. We had forums, we had communication. We have 1.4 million people in this county. I think that we did a very good job, an excellent job, of trying to get the word out to people so that they can make an informed decision about whether or not they wanted to provide a 1-cent sales tax in order to help our transportation and infrastructure needs. And I want to be careful here because I don't want to be said that I'm misleading people. As I've said before, with that, I think that we gave every opportunity we could. We did the best we could with educating the public, but there is some responsibility. You have to come out. You have to come to the things. We have to be able to take responsibility for the vote that actually happened. Whether they voted yes or voted no, we're going to support it and do what we need to do for this entire community. So I think that we did provide a pretty good opportunity for everyone to understand and know what the tax was about.
I'm Felicia Tompkins. I feel that we did not provide the entire spectrum for that tax. We should have been aware from the beginning that the state was not giving any money to support us. We could have done a better job with informing our residents the entire package. Sure, we had forms. The forms were great, but I don't think they were transparent enough to really educate our residents. A lot of the residents were saying, we need to have better transportation. Sure, we do. We need to have it throughout the county. But let's go back. We should never do anything without having some type of support from the state. However, my mother is a retired bus operator. I understand transit. I understand the need to have transit. We come from a poor area in Mobile, Alabama, where that was the only transportation people were able to get back and forth to work. It's like that here. But no, I felt that we didn't do a good job as far as making sure our residents knew the beginning and the end and everything about transit. It was sugar-coated. I felt it was sugar-coated. But I'm in agreement. I'm a Democrat. So the voters went out and they spoke, and I'm going to uphold that we follow them and make sure what was said is going to be done. Thank you.
Robert, thank you for the question. The city and the county spent millions of dollars selling a 17% sales tax increase, and they primarily sold it to the people of Charlotte and Mecklenburg as something that was good for the working class. They touted 20% of that going for buses. What the county commission did not tell you is that they had the ability to raise sales taxes by 0.25% without a referendum. I repeat, without a referendum. That 0.25%, which would have been a quarter of the full 1% increase, would have been enough to fund buses, all the bus projects that they had on this agenda, and it would have given state legislators time to go back, and I understand that the situation is tough in Raleigh right now, but it would have given them an opportunity to go back and get a better plan and a better deal. This whole plan was not driven by metrics, not by ridership, not by the needs of the community. So it was, in essence, masquerading as a transit plan when really it was a development plan. And how do we know that? There were three board seats that were reserved for business interests. How did that get into the bill, and how did we justify pushing that through? I'm not saying that we don't need business leaders to be a part of this. We do. We need transit. We need development. But to not only do that, but once immediately after this referendum was passed, they filled the board with developers and bankers instead of actually looking and taking care of what the people need. Thank you.
There's no rebuttal?
No.
All right, Paul, I think you have the next question.
Thank you very much. My name is Paul Nelson. I'm the Regional Director for the African Think Tank. I'm also an ambassador for the State of the African Diaspora. And this is my question. It's really an appreciation and accountability question. I first want to thank you for recognizing Africa Day, which is an official proclamation that I received from the Governor of North Carolina in 2024. In realizing this for our communities, This is simply not a document that we just want to put on the wall. So what concrete steps will you take to ensure this proclamation translates into sustained engagement, investment, and inclusion for African and Caribbean residents in Mecklenburg County? Thank you.
Thank you for that question. We are very proud of the Africa Day proclamation that we provided. Our board does everything through the lens of racial disparities and trying to eliminate and diminish racial disparities. Any kind of disparity, really, because racial disparities as well as economic disparities a lot of times overlap. What we are doing and what I have been the loudest voice about is sustainability. We can't just give a group some money and throw them out there and say, hey, go out there and swim and do what you promised to do. It takes technical assistance, it takes capacity building, it takes encouragement to ensure, because we have a vested interest in making sure those programs run smoothly, that it's actually doing what we gave you the money to do. So we're going to be more consistent with that. I've been a loud voice with that on the county commission, that we have to offer better assistance to those programs. And I will say this, just because you don't believe something does not make it true. There are lots of things considering the programs that we have, regarding the programs that we have, where the people who yell the loudest are believed instead of looking at what is actually true. Come to the county commission meetings, come to the community events, and you can learn the truth. But listening to rhetoric on social media does not make it true.
Mecklenburg is a wonderful place to live, and it's a wonderful place to be, and a part of that is because of all the different communities that exist here. I'm very familiar with the West African community, East African community, and I think it's very important to make sure that we meet these communities where they are, right? I know firsthand that there are organizations out there that are, that are representative of African business owners, for example. I know that there are humanitarian organizations that are looking to fundraise and to provide support for people in this community and for their communities back home. There's a lot of folks that are involved in religious organizations, whether it's the Christian or Muslim community, that are represented there. So for us to communicate with or to provide services for any individual community, we need to make sure that we have an open door. We need to make sure that we're going to events that are hosted. We need to make sure that we are understanding what it is that the needs of the community are. And if elected, I would certainly welcome conversations to see how the county can support, and also just to know what it is that your communities are doing, so we can share that information with the public at large. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question. Very familiar with different programs the city has to offer. And upon that, what the county has to offer, but upon that, as a social worker here in Mecklenburg County, prior social worker, I truly understand communities, what the needs are, especially working with children. A child will guide you and give you that basic information based on what the needs are. They're familiar with that. My role is to get out there among the community, express my interest, and hear and listen to your needs. Bring it back and put systems in place so it's a win-win for everyone. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Donnell, and remember, please use that microphone because we have an online streaming audience that needs to hear those answers as well.
Good morning. My name is Darnell Ivory. Charlotte is growing, and with it comes growing pains. With public safety being such a high-profile issue, what changes, if any, would you support in the funding structure of police, fire, and emergency services in our community?
Thank you so much for that question. This is one of those issues. I heard the first candidate talk about feelings and what the community feels. Statistics will tell you that as the city grows, of course, the rate of crime will go up exponentially with that. What we are doing, like many have called Cop City, The Cop City is actually a training facility. That is to train police, fire, and medic. So improving the speed to which we can get to you, addressing those issues, improving the hiring of police officers, and training them how to not be militant, but to use de-escalation tactics. That is our aim, that is our goal. I have been in the community talking about that ever since our first two prior police chiefs. I have been in the community, working as precinct chair, as leader of third vice chair of the Black Political Caucus, as treasurer and community advocate for the African American Caucus of Mecklenburg County Democratic Party. So I have a long career of advocacy in the community, and I hear the community. I listen to the community about what the safety concerns are. I live in District 2. And just like Commissioner Griffin, I didn't grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth either. It wasn't that long ago that I felt I have two black sons. So, yes, I've been profiled. My son has been profiled by police. I've been profiled myself. So getting in and actually being a part of the solution, because I bring experiences that other elected officials cannot bring.
Thanks for the question. I'm a numbers person. As a social worker first, I believe in looking at demographics. What's going on this side of the city and on the county may not have a strong need on this side of the county. So when you look at the demographics and you see where the most needs are, as far as responses, as far as crime rate, we have to be able to sit down at the table, work with a team concept, and look and see where the most needs are needed. That's the kind of person I am. That's how my basic root is to just look and see where the needs are. Yes, we do need more money to fund these programs, but on top of doing that, we need to look at the area where the need is lacking. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Public safety is a very important concern in Mecklenburg and in Charlotte, and we've seen what high-profile issues that have come up in the news have impacted this. I believe on the same week that horrible stabbing that happened on our light rail, there was a child that was killed by a stray bullet in Charlotte. And no one seemed to pay attention to that. Public safety is a serious concern. I'm a former prosecutor, and I know firsthand what it's like to see what victims or families of victims, how they respond to when they're victimized by a crime. And when you have that feeling of insecurity, that's not a good thing. So when Mecklenburg puts its resources in a cop city, that costs $120 million, and they say that this is about training officers to do the right thing. What they're ignoring, though, is that we have a wonderful facility in Steel Creek that CMPD runs that we can certainly expand upon and maybe provide some investment to make sure that our police officers are responding to whether it's mental health concerns and other concerns that may come up. But to militarize a college campus is certainly not the answer.
King Coombs.
Each of you have talked about the transit. My question is in regards to when you endorse. What are your thoughts along the idea of withholding your personal elected decision until you have heard from all sides of your constituency, and especially when you have a constituency that's pretty close to split on an issue? And it seems to me that there may be an opportunity to find out more closely what your constituency wants, but also being responsive to those who may disagree with you when you've already been out there promoting, let's say, the transit, for instance. When you were promoting it, but yet a lot of your constituency was saying no.
Way past time.
Oh, man, I hear you.
In addition to that, I'm not really sure I understand the question.
There is no question, I presume there is no question, more of a statement.
The question was your sentiments when you have constituents who may be almost split. Should you be taking a position prior to a final vote when you have heard that half of your constituency, or 30%?
I think I understand the question. So basically, when the vote takes place, that's when the people have spoken. As far as me taking a side, and since I was the only one that was elected when the vote was taken, yeah, I had an opinion one way or the other, but it vacillated back and forth between the time where I learned information from the beginning to the end. And then I did a little video many of you might have seen on social media and told you it was a personal decision for me about the fact that I, personal experience, lost my vehicle in January of last year because the engine went out. And there is no transportation near my house that I could take that would help me get to my job, to do my abilities as county commissioner. So for me personally, and thinking about whether it would support me and my family, even with the tremendous flaws in the county and the state not doing what it was supposed to do, that was a personal decision for me. So we're human. We have our own opinions based upon our own lived experiences, and then we listen to you, and then we just try to get the information out there. And then it's up to the people to say whether or not they want to do it.
All right. Did you want to address that, Sheree? Go ahead.
I think that's a wonderful question. The people spoke, right? The referendum passed. So as soon as the referendum passes, then it becomes, how can we make this the best transit plan for the people, period, full stop. There was no protections given to transit workers, for example. So, how are we prioritizing the public's part of this equation? So how do we protect the transit workers? How do we make sure that costs stay under budget, right? How do we make sure the timelines are met? As far as transit goes, most transit riders in Charlotte and Mecklenburg use the bus. So how do we make sure that the bus improvements are going to be the ones that come first, right? And the red line improvements, while we're legally obligated to make sure that happens on the timeline, right? That's hypothetical in terms of who will use it, who won't use it, whether that will actually go to Uptown. And by the way, spoiler alert, it won't go to Uptown. There's no actual train station that's budgeted. Maybe it goes to the Amtrak station, maybe it goes somewhere else, who knows? But the buses are what matters the most, which is why I had issue with the referendum in the first place. They were trying to sell us these stories of, oh man, I need to be able to ride transit and all that. We could have done that without the full 17% sales tax increase. But now that we have it, we need to make sure that it works for the people that are living now and the communities that exist now, not for the shiny buildings that will be there in 20 years. Thank you.
I'm Felicia Tompkins. I come from a different perspective because I was an HR consultant for CATS. I was directly involved with giving raises and seeing substantial raises for no reason, just because you're a senior official. What I said was, because I was a part of the CATS team, it's going to be mismanaged. It's going to be misappropriated. I know that I shouldn't have said I know that. What I will say is that while I was an employee for CATS, I saw a lot of things that I felt was unethical. And because you're my friend and you want a promotion, I'm going to give you $30,000 or $25,000. So I looked at it totally different from others. There is a need to have transportation. But coming from the inside, I saw the raises. I saw the misappropriation. I don't think they have a different oversight from the management team that was there when I was there. So yes, they are a little tighter, but I could not in good faith support that, knowing I was an inside person to see these things be done. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Heather Morrow. Sorry I'm late. I drive a school bus. This is one thing that ties into transportation. Like I have to echo these sentiments. I've seen rife misappropriations. I've seen things that pass with the people's vote against it. And I will say anything is appealable, anything is fixable if the people speak up. And we do have to make those changes for the people that are living here now, like Sharif says. And we have to make it workable. We could have had safe transit by now. We have to look at where dollars are going right now that are being misappropriated to certain things like the safety training facility at CPCC. This could have been transportation money already. And we don't need neighborhoods being destroyed to make more transit lines. We need to work with that because these are the people that make up this city.
All right, before we move forward with our next question, to be fair, we wanted to give Ms. Morrow an opportunity, 30 seconds to go ahead and introduce yourself, your platform, and tell us why you're running.
Thank you so much.
They had a minute and 30 seconds.
A minute.
A minute, 30 seconds. Sorry, go ahead, Ms. Morrow.
I'll talk slow. My name's Heather Morrow. I'm a grandma. I'm a mother. I grew up mostly in Charlotte. I love this city. What made me run is seeing everything that could be changed, everything that needs to be changed, and the people that are signing off on things. They've blatantly said they don't know what they're signing off on. They didn't read it all the way through. Like, we've got that on record. These are the people that supposedly got elected by us, and it's time to make a change. I will say that I drive a school bus, and that means that I know firsthand the issues that are going on in transportation. I know firsthand the issues that our people face day to day, especially on the roads, where funding needs to go, and we can make a change. And I will say that me running hopefully opens eyes of people to what's happening without their consent or without their knowledge, things going on behind closed doors. I know that we can make basic income for people. I know that sounds crazy, but there's other cities that are doing it. We can abolish ICE. We can stop the terrorism on our immigrants in this town. We're all immigrants on stolen land. So we make up this beautiful city and we can hold it down.
All right, thank you, Ms. Morrow. All right, for our next question, mainly for the comments, but I think it's fair for everyone to answer. What are you most proud of in your tenure, and if elected, what's something you would look to hang your hat on?
Ooh, great question, whoever did that one. So like I said, I've been on the Board of County Commission for a year, but I've been working with the county commissioners themselves even before I was elected. There were certain things that I'm very passionate about. Mental health awareness and mental health, making that a standard part of a person's, you get a physical, why the most important thing is your brain. It controls everything. So why not have that be universal, that you get a mental health evaluation. Thank you. And so one of the things that I ran on before that I still see that we need an improvement in, and somebody mentioned it earlier, were notifications to the community about all of the programs we have. I listen to the questions, and the questions that come about is, a lot of them are because they don't know a lot of the programs that the county has to offer. I've already asked that we do a better job with pushing information rather than having you pull information from us. That means, right now you have to go online and sign up for, notifications on the programs we have and things of that nature. But getting out to the nursing homes, telling them the programs. We have Department of Health and Human Resources, but we depend on them too much to get the need out, because by then it's kind of, I'm in a desperate situation. So pushing out information so that you can get help about the homes program. Informing them about what it really is, informing people about the transit tax and what we can and cannot do and why a quarter cent was not going to help. So those are the things that I would do in addition to small business capacity building and facilitating their sustainability. Thank you.
Thank you. I was once a foster care social worker. Do you guys have any idea the problems that children go through being in 2, 3, 4 different foster care homes? As a social worker, at a very young stage of my life, I decided one day I will make a difference. I want to be your advocate. I know the changes that we can do if we put more funding into the Youth and Family Services or Department of Social Services. The caseloads are too high. When I was a social worker, I had to oversee at least 20, 30, or 40 kids a month. That's almost impossible. We need to do better with our youth and our children that are in a foster care settings. Sure, we put money to the foster care system to get more social workers, but we can do better. The caseloads, if you ask any of social workers, they're too high. We need better funding. What I would say is, I also monitor assisted living facilities. You'll be surprised, there's a major difference between a Medicaid assisted living and a private paid assisted living. It's a major difference. I, as a regulatory, I went in there and made sure that not only the Medicaid residents got money and got programs, but I also had to look at the private pay facilities. My time is up. But I wanted to say, I'm Felicia Tompkins, and I have worked for the county. I know what the needs are. Thank you.
I'm going to echo Yvette's sentiment. I think it's so important to make sure that people understand what services that the county has to offer. And I can attest that Yvette has done a wonderful job of going out there in the community and making sure people understand that. If I'm elected for an at-large position, I would rest my hat on building coalitions. Right? That is my ultimate goal. With the county doesn't, the county commission is kind of high level in that it directs the way that the county operations moves, but there are a lot of intergovernmental relationships and associations that make things work. There are partnerships with the state, with the city, and with other counties in the area that make things run. But the only way to accomplish that is by getting people to be civically engaged. Most people in Mecklenburg, whether they live in the city or not, wouldn't know the difference between what the city council does and what the county commission does. And a lot of folks are just kind of stuck in their algorithms of whatever information that they have, and they don't have access to the information that they need to make informed decisions or to pick their leaders even, right? So if I'm elected, my goal will be to go out into the community, as I'm already doing as an organizer, to build those relationships, to understand what it is that people want, but then to also make sure that we're connecting them with the services. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this amazing question, and it really rings true what my constituent said here. We really do need to focus on building the bridges between the need and the services. And I can say from having been in those destitute positions in life as a young mother, as a young single mother, coming out of domestic violence, being in between housing, the county does lack. There is not services to wrap around and to fill those needs immediately. We can fill those gaps for people. Right now we have almost 3,000 people unhoused in this city. One is too many. And how do we get those people housed? We have to think about what the weakest link is, and we have to strengthen our chain by strengthening those people first from the bottom up. And I can hang my hat on the fact that I came from the bottom, and I can say that my kids are successful in what they do, and I know that people can change, and I believe in the people that have been in the worst positions to make it to the top.
All right, Majid. Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here. And my name is Nasik Majid Jr., and I represent the Charlotte Muslim Caucus. Yes, they know my father. I wanted to ask, and first starting with Yvette, what is your response, or what will your response be, and how will you help with the next ICE/CBP race if they will come to the county?
Thank you for that loaded question. No, but it's a very serious issue and a very valid question. You know, when people think of ICE, they think about Latino only. When we have a large population of African community here, undocumented. We have Asian, undocumented. And there is actually, I think District 4 is probably the most diverse. I'm not saying they have the most undocumented, but they're the most diverse culturally. What the community fails to understand is if we don't follow the law, we won't retain our jobs to be here, to be able to advocate in the best way we can. So we do what we can within the law. Now, because of certain things, you probably will not see me marching and protests and things of that nature, but I will definitely give money. I definitely support. I definitely come out to events where I'm getting information so that I can provide that information. I have undocumented friends. I may have undocumented family in other states. I'm not really sure because I have family members from who are Cuban. But you have to work within the framework that you're given. So whatever it is that, whatever governmental entity it is, which is usually the sheriff's office, is given, we will give them support and we will help them. And I personally, as a commissioner, because I can't speak for the whole board, I personally will give time, talent, and effort to support undocumented as best I can.
Thank you for the question, Felicia Tompkins. I have a brother that lives in Minneapolis, and my brother could almost pass for an immigrant. However, we have to be able to follow the law. And what I shared with my brother is if there's any questions, I hate to say it because he's a U.S. citizen, take your passport with you, put it in the glove compartment. We shouldn't live in times like this where we are afraid and we have to have proper identification. But the key thing is to follow the law. Respond if they ask a question. Don't run. Be able to stand up and answer what they ask of you. Allow the process to take place without having that big fear. All of us are faced with it. We don't know. We could be taken for someone else. But we have to trust the process. And that's what I would say. Thank you.
That's a really good question. I think it's important that we think global, understand the national narratives, and act local. We cannot ignore the fact that a white woman, was shot in the face in Minneapolis during an ICE raid. This is real. But if you look back to what this chapter started with, it started with the administration going after students protesting against genocide. And then it moved into going after folks that are H-1B visa holders. And then it went into, do you see how that goes? So from a government role, what can we do? The most effective thing that I've seen, I saw community organizations come together, share information, and I saw a link between them and the city and county government. And that is very important that we at least provide information as we can, and then work with the schools and the government buildings, government employees to make sure that they are protected and they know what their rights are, what they can do and can't do within that framework. But this is important, right? We need to see how all of these different aspects tie together. So while it is important that we act local, we need to understand where these narratives come from and why they exist, because they are there to make us scared, and they are there to divide and conquer us.
Thank you for those sentiments all on this panel. I'm actually raging at these responses. We all know what ICE is doing is illegal. Our power has to be realized as county commissioners. It starts with realizing our power in what we sign off on. We can defund ICE in our cities right now. We do have the power. We can make sure that our sheriff upholds the law of the people and not just the rules of ICE that are sent down by Trump. If it's against the Constitution, it's against the law. The law, what is the law? What really stands? Is it human rights? We have to think about that. We have a Declaration of Independence, and then we have the Bill of Human Rights. Does it go against that? Think about it. I was arrested by ICE. I was disappeared into the system for peacefully protesting. And when Renee Good got killed, taken from us illegally, she was killed illegally, people came back up to me and said it could have been you. And what is it going to take for everyone to realize? We should not have to carry our identification. This is Nazis in government. People wake up. I'm not going to say we have to uphold the law. I'm out there in the streets marching. I'm on federal probation right now because of it, because they're trying to drag me through the court system. And don't think I won't keep standing up.
All right, Jeremy, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Jeremy Golden, lifelong Charlottean, born and raised. I just have a question for Commissioner YTI. We had some information, the transit tax was probably the most hotly debated issue from last election. The transit tax. And I want to make sure we're all operating on the same information. Can you give context what was discussed earlier about why the county couldn't do the 2.5-cent increase, why the county chose the path they did?
From my understanding, and from what my colleagues' understanding is, it was not going to be enough to even do a portion of the improvements that we needed for bus. What we don't understand, what the public doesn't understand, I don't really expect everybody to understand that we're a Dillon rule state. We absolutely have to go by what is mandated by the North Carolina General Assembly. Thank you, Senator Joyce Wydell there. She's the chair of the Mecklenburg County delegation. We meet with them, we talk with them, we ask them what's possible. So there's information, yes, that we're privy to that we just can't explain, or if we try to explain, it's not exactly put out there correctly. But it was not going to be enough. You have to think about, now the transit is not going to benefit, the rail, exactly, is not going to benefit me. It's not going to benefit you. It's going to benefit our children. We have 138 people moving here today. We had to get permission from the North Carolina General Assembly to even put the question on the ballot. So you ask yourself, with as much as it took to get it on the ballot, whether or not, and the people decided. Let the people decide. The people decided with the information that they were given. Now we got to work to make sure, as someone said, that it works for everybody. But we are limited to what we can do. I hear all these comments. I'm a black mom with 2 black men, so I know how to protest. I know the struggle. I've never been arrested for protesting, but there's information they don't know.
All right. That question was only directed to one, right, Jeremy?
Yes.
All right. Senator Waddell.
Thank you very much. I've heard a lot said about what the General Assembly can do. That's a part of government that comes from the people, just as anything else. And when it comes from the people, the persons that represent there, then it comes back to the counties, the cities. But it comes from the people instead, not something that just one person thinks of and does. The question is, as we think about the 10 people that are running for 3 positions, evidently there is something that you disagreed with, something that you're not happy with, and you want to make a difference. Just that one thing that you see that you didn't like, that you can improve on, that you would do differently. One. Joyce Bardell, Senate Party.
Thank you.
Felicia Tompkins, thank you very much for the question. The one thing that why I'm such a strong advocate to run for this position is because we're not getting information out like we should as a county resident. My number one thing is because I'm a strong advocate for seniors. And when I ask the question again, and it's been brought up several times, we have a program called the Homes Program. $1 million was allocated for that grant. Only 2,000 residents received it. Why can't we double that? But you can't not be at the table to be a strong advocate that those funds need to be doubled. Instead of 2,000 residents, it should be 4,000. We have so many people in the county that could benefit from these services. So that's one of the reasons why I said, Lord, I cannot sit back and allow this to continue. I have to be at the table to be a decision maker. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Senator. I always appreciate your presence. One thing that I would certainly change, or at least make issue of, is that for this Cobb City Training Center, $120 million was on the budget as a line item, and it was listed as Levine Campus Capital Improvement, and it was pushed as an educational expense. $120 million for a facility that will invite police officers from other counties and federal agencies to come to a college campus. What does that have to do with education? We've heard sitting commissioners talk about the need to fund education, the need to fund teachers, that the state needs to do this and the state needs to do that. But $120 million went to a facility that will have a gun range on a college campus. We need to prioritize, we need to have these conversations. And then when citizens asked about this, when they raised the questions, when they showed up at the meetings, what did they do? They kicked them out. What did they do instead of making this a discussion and a debate? They just rubber stamped it and passed the thing. And now we're trying to figure out where the money is going, who is going to receive it, who's getting the contracts for it, right? When what we should be doing is asking, how do we cut our losses with this? And if we need to make investments elsewhere, we will, but we need to invest in our teachers and education before militarizing the police even more.
I have to echo those sentiments of Sharif. I'm so glad to have him on the South Cobb City team. We have been fighting for a year, being kicked out from public meetings, being told by the commissioners on the board that we don't have time to speak, and it's already been decided, and they don't have to tell us about the money. They don't have to have a discussion about it. Even Candy Diedemeyer, the president of the CPCC, told us that she doesn't have to hear from the public about it. It's already been decided, which it was never talked about with the public. It was scooted through by her best friend, Diorio, who's now out. She got her money and ran, the city manager, and we saw it happen. But on a bigger note, they do just sign off on things and say that they didn't even read through it. It was like a silly script to watch it go down. Even one of them called the other out saying, "Didn't you want to ask about it?" And they said, "Oh, No, go ahead and pass it. $65 million out of education funds. Did you know that teachers and bus drivers are only on a 10-month contract, so they can't even claim unemployment for the months that they are out, and they're expected to come back and work for less than $25 an hour and keep this as their career? Did you know that? Yeah, a little dark secret about education, but we have all this money to go to Cobb City. Think about it.
Once again, misinformation getting out to the public. This is not a rebuttal, I haven't spoken yet.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I apologize.
So when the people that Sharif was talking about were kicked out, is because they released insects and swarm of insects inside the county commission office on the dais. We sit there, we have to sit there and not say anything. We can't rebut on the dais as well. I've got a little bit of training at that. Even though when misinformation comes out, we can't refute it, we can't rebut it. The best we can do is go to social media or go to community events to try to educate the public correctly. Hendrick Automotive sold that property for the cops at the training facility that is there. There is going to be education on there, and I beg of you to consider, go back and look and see what the county commission actually does.
You're lying because nobody was kicked out.
I'm sorry. I got the mic.
Nobody was kicked out for crickets. Watch the video.
You can go back and watch the video. It is online. I can provide the link. But the thing is this. The things that a lot of people try to do, it's very good. I welcome people to get in the system. But there are so many other avenues you can go other than trying to run for county commission. You jump from running from county commission, the city school board, the city council, this, that, and the thing. You don't even understand what the responsibilities of the role are. We are limited by what we can do, and I work within the framework of what we can do. And I have one vote. It takes 5. So get to understand the governmental system, get some civics.
All right, we're going to try to make time for one more question, but we do not have that. Please give a hand for the candidates to take. All right, Brother Collins, we do have any announcements? Yeah, look, per the last group that were up here, if you have a question that was not answered and you would like that question answered, please connect directly to the candidates that are up here, get phone numbers, emails to ensure that your question is answered.
30 seconds closing.
Go ahead, 30 seconds.
It's been my pleasure to serve you during the year that I've served. You voted for me overwhelmingly. I got over more votes than President Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, during the general election in 2024, and I appreciate you for that. I will continue to work for you. I will continue to learn to do what's best for you, and I listen to you. I am the candidate for the commissioner with empathy not so long ago that I was on food stamps, that I had to stand in line at Crisis Assistance Ministry. I have education, but education is not the all. So I thank you for your support, and I ask for it again.
Felicia Tompkins, I asked for your support and your vote. I have a commitment to serve you. I'm knowledgeable, I truly know budgets, and I enjoy working with people. I believe in service, and that's one thing I can say I have a commitment of serving all of you all. So I truly ask for the opportunity to be one of your 3 votes. Thank you for being here, and thank you for listening.
Thank you again to the forum. I'm not afraid to engage in the difficult topics. I'm a former public servant. I'm a white-collar investigations attorney, and I am a nerd. And I love diving into deep regulatory matters and that sort of thing. I am someone that I think that you guys can trust. So I would love to have your vote so I can then represent you in the commission and build those bridges and have those conversations that need to be had to be your commissioner and to be a leader in that way. And I invite, if I am able to have that opportunity, I invite conversations. I'd have an open door. And if you haven't had my wife's cookies, they're in the back. They're absolutely delicious. Thank you so much.